What up, watch peeps? Man, this review kept getting pushed to the back burner, and I apologize for that. It's weird it took me so long to get to this one because this is one of my all-time favorite watches, top 3 at least. And it's a cool story because it's a watch that was not even on my radar until I tried one on. I am, of course, talking about the Tudor Royal, a lovely watch, so let's check it out. I'm Pete, and we are Chillin' with Watches. Wrist check. Yeah, I wear an SKX sometimes. What of it? It's still a fantastic watch and a great wear. But let's check out what's going on in here. Now, the Tudor box for me is a decent enough balance between presentation and maybe going a little too far overboard. I like simple boxes, but I think these are all right. And boom, what an absolute beauty this watch is. I know there's a lot going on here, and that isn't to everyone's taste, but I absolutely dig it. This silver dial is the one that really spoke to me, but it is also available in blue and black and gold. There's even a mother of pearl dial. It's also available in a bunch of sizes. I have the 38 here, but it comes in 28, 34, 38, 41. And retail on these, it goes anywhere from like $2,200 up to $4,000 because there are two-tone cases and there's diamond set dials, really a ton of configurations. This model full retail is $23.25. Now Tudor refers to the Royal model as sport chic, and I think that is a pretty accurate description. It's a little busy and robust for a dress watch, so it's definitely a sports watch in the vein of perhaps a Royal Oak. So I have the silver dial with the kind of sunray finish is what they call it, and the full Roman numerals. Now, I wouldn't have hated the diamond markers if I'm being honest. I think they were doing kind of fun. Now, the 41mm version of this watch is a day date with a day display at 12 o'clock, which is super cool. I love the day display, but I didn't like how it ate the 11:1 markers. And the other thing about the 41 is that you can see with this model, other than the branding at 12 o'clock, there is nothing else on the dials. Eat it, Pelagos. But on the 41, those blank areas just looked way too large and empty for my liking. This 38 kind of closed in those spaces and struck a real nice balance. Now this date at 3 o'clock, it does eat into the 3 o'clock marker, and I probably would have liked this even better if it were a no date, but that was not an option. Speaking of the hour markers, Roman numerals are not something I would have thought I would have liked, but it just works on this watch. I think it's part of its identity, part of its charm. Basic stick hands is what we have going on here. They're big enough to be legible without drawing attention away from the dial, and the bezel, again, a really nice bounce. Now, the Lume is limited to the hour and minute hands. That is all they have going on here. Then the notched bezel that we're talking about there, that is one of my favorite things about this watch. It's not fluted. It's not an octagon with screws. It creates a bit of bling that I think, kind of fits the rest of the package. It's still very visually interesting. At this case, it is an absolute delight on the wrist. It's thin and airy, very comfortable in this 38mm size. You have polished case sides with a signed crown with the Tudor shield here at 3 o'clock. The case is brushed on the tops, and it's also brushed on these angular areas, this angular surface where the integrated bracelet begins. Now, this bracelet and the way it's integrated is maybe my favorite thing about this watch. It's really well done. This angle where it meets the bracelet makes the whole thing seem like something more than a simple round watch. The railroad track bracelet is, again, very visually interesting with the brush and polish combo. The taper is absolutely killer. It is extremely comfortable. It's fully articulating links here. And they're really short links too, so you have a lot of flexibility. The feel of it is just I don't know, silky is the best word. It is so smooth and silky the way it moves. Now, I hate butterfly clasps, but they did some watch magic here, making a bracelet that almost has no clasp. So it's a very minimal clasp, kind of keeps that continuous bracelet look, but it opens in a standard fashion with a flip over, just really small and kind of hidden away. Very unobtrusive, and I think it's a great look. Now, there are no micro adjustments though, so the short links are going to have to help make that be not too much of a problem, but again, it is a coarse adjustment. Now, I've heard that these are all behind the scenes COSC or Metis certified. I can't remember which, so let's throw this thing on the Timegrapher and see how it's running. So there you go. Look at the performance on this thing. It is insane. Running +1 seconds a day, an amplitude of 316. I haven't seen anything running this great maybe ever. It does have a 0.3 beat error. Nothing I'm concerned about at all, but the performance is stellar. Over the dimensions, they listed it at 38. I measured it at 37.8 millimeters. The lug to lug is an extremely compact 45 millimeters, and it comes in at a super wearable 10.6 millimeters thick. Now, this bracelet has an insane 7.6 millimeter taper, going from 23.6 down to 16. Perfect. It has a flat sapphire crystal. It uses Swiss Superluminova limited to the hour and minute hand, and it is running the Tudor caliber T601, which is, I guess, based off of the ETA 2824. And for a rather dressy sport watch, it has 100 meters of water resistance. Now, on this bracelet, size for my 7¼ inch wrist, it came in at 132 grams. So let's take a look at it on wrist. And here's how it wears on my 7¼ inch wrist. Like I said all the time, 38 millimeters I think is the perfect size for me. I love how nice and close this thing wears to the wrist. It's a dream on wrist. The bracelet, I haven't felt anything so comfortable and silky smooth ever. It's just a delight on the wrist. So let's take a look at it side by side, some other watches. Let's start small and work our way up. First, we have it here next to this 36 millimeter Explorer style watch I've built. And I think it wears every bit of its 2 millimeters larger than this watch, maybe even a little more so than that. I think a lot of that has to do with the black versus silver dial. Next up, I have another 38 millimeter watch here and another mod that I had just recently built. This is the Namoki Field Case in 38. Smaller dial opening, kind of a wider rehaut in there that I think makes this one wear smaller than its size, and I think you can see that again. The silver dial is always going to look a little larger than black dials. This mod is running the NH35. Really great case by Namoki though. Lastly, here is the Tudor Ranger at 41 millimeters, so 3 millimeters larger than the Tudor Royal. I think the dial to bezel ratios aren't too far off. This Ranger has a really large dial. I would say the Ranger wears more like a 40, where the Royal kind of wears true to a 38. Lastly, as our ever benchmark, the Seiko SKX at about 42.5 millimeters. Not really comparing styles here, just a size benchmark for you, since everybody knows what an SKX wears like. There is not a whole lot of Lume going on here. It's not a dive watch, but that is the last thing we have left to look at.
Keep the Lume.
So obviously not a Lume monster by design, but I think there is adequate Lume on there for you to be able to tell the time in the dark. There we go, finally the Tudor Royal 38. This one turned out to be such a pleasant surprise for me, and I instantly bonded with it, which is strange because I rarely feel such a strong connection to my watches. This and my Doxas are about it, maybe a turtle. And it's a style that I didn't think I would wear all that much until I brought it home. Now I wear it all the time. Alright, before I let you guys go, sneaker check, wearing my Jordan 1 lows. That's it, I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, please like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.